Hello, ladies, and welcome to the Beauty Shaman. So I'm very excited today to have as my guest, Dr. Donese Worden, who is a naturopathic medical doctor. And she is an expert diagnostician, that word is a hard one for me, and global health educator who was trained in both conventional and alternative medicine, and is in a very, very unique position to speak to both sides of healthcare, the natural and the medical side. Today we're going to talk about her new non-toxic skin and body care line that I am so excited to carry on my website. So thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Worden.
Well, I appreciate it. And I tell you what, whenever I wish you could have done my makeup today, when you do it, these dark circles from not getting enough sleep last night disappear. So you're an expert in your field, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Yes, and I love the fact that you're an expert in this field, and of course it's a field I'm super interested in, which is natural medicine, healthcare, especially anti-aging, wellness. I mean, all of this is super important, and I know that my audience is really into this as well. So why, you've been doing this for a long time, so tell us a little bit about your practice and what got you into doing skincare, and we've got a lot to talk about. So just start with that part of it.
Well, we'll make the short version is it's been a couple of decades. Yeah. And I was a pain management. I am a pain management expert. I'm a diplomate in that. And I went to Europe to study these unique injections, mesotherapy and other types of injections that they had that were more on the natural end for pain management. Well, at the same time, we noticed those same injections were being used for aesthetics in a wonderful way. And so when we learned these needling techniques and these types of products to use in Europe, it was for pain and aesthetics. So now all of a sudden I was using both. They sound like they wouldn't be connected, but they really are. So that's and I am part of the founding of the Naturopathic Board of Aesthetic Medicine. So my space is really, especially on the board, is in the natural ways of treating. What do we have in products? What's the quality there? And what do we have in injections? And are people trained appropriately? And what are they doing? So I am not the Botox girl. I do not use Botox. We may want to talk about that.
Yeah, that's a good topic. I mean, you know me. Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I feel really strongly about this. Okay, I feel really strongly about. The society basically says women are meant to not age, okay? We're supposed to look 20 our whole life by whatever means necessary, right? By whatever injections, whatever surgeries. And that's not to say that sometimes that isn't a good thing. Like sometimes we do want to go that route, and I'm not totally against it, but what I'm saying is I don't like the mentality around it. So I love that you're bringing into this discussion, what does it look like, healthcare and looking beautiful in a natural, organic, non-toxic way.
Right. And, when patients come to see me, I ask them, what do you want? What are you after? Now, if they're after this and they want their lips very exaggerated full, then I say, I am not the physician to see. I will refer you down the street for that, if that's the look that you're after. Now, the ones that come in and say, I don't want that look, but I do want to do something to regenerate my skin, to tighten the collagen, naturally tighten it, to have a little bit of lift, a little bit of a glow, and look maybe 10 to 15 years younger than what I am. If that's the goal, we can do that naturally. But if the goal is to try to look 20 years old, that's surgical. Yeah. And again, like you, no, I'm not going to judge anybody for whatever they want, but I want them realistically to say that they think something natural is going to make that happen. No.
So let's talk about what's going on. I mean, Botox and some of this stuff is so let's speak to Botox, because you brought this up right away. I think it's really important.
Yeah. So I have always worried about Botox, even from the beginning. It's the most potent neurotoxin known to man. What does that mean? It kills neurons. And so I said, no, we're injecting it in the face. So the thought was that it stayed local. That's what we were told. We could use it in pain management for torticollis and other things, or bladders. There's still a medical place, but for this whole aesthetic thing, I thought, how do we know that it doesn't? Now, a lot of safety studies have been done. It's been in use for a long time. Very few side effects. I mean, some drops and neurological problems can happen with anything. But in general, it looks fairly safe. So I still always use my intuition. I use my gut to say, it doesn't feel right to me. So there are new studies now, and there was a study in the beginning, a mouse study, that showed that it was found in the liver, which means it circulates through the body. It was kind of buried. It was a small study out of Europe, but it was enough, again, to make me be concerned. There's a more recent study. It's a group, and if I need to, I'll pull up the slide in a minute of who it is, but out of a major university. They were studying it, and what they found was that it does get inside a neuron. That's one type of cell, and that cell does migrate. That Botox migrates from cell to cell to cell to cell. Now, what does that mean? We don't really know yet, but what it means to me is it doesn't stay local. And if it's found in the brainstem, if it's found circulating, I would rather know my grandchildren, if I ever have any. Let my son watch this. But it is if I would rather know my loved ones when I age and have a few well-earned wrinkles, so to speak, than to have this look and not know who I am or my loved ones. And I'm not saying that we know it causes Alzheimer's or dementia, but I'm not convinced yet. And now with that new study showing it circulates, Suzanne, that's a red flag.
Well, I've always felt like it's a red flag. I mean, you're injecting a toxin into your skin. I mean, the idea that toxins externally on your face, I actually had a little bit of a grappling with that because I work in the industry. And I'm like, wait a minute, you mean I've been using toxic products on people and on myself? Like, what really does that do? And I had a lot of questions, but injecting it into your face, I always kind of felt like, oh, that doesn't feel right.
But not all toxins. There's actually a cobra venom that we put in one of the topicals that is actually neuroprotective. It's being studied to help protect those neurons. And apitherapy, bee venom, is very, very protective and has a lot of anti-inflammatory products. So toxins in general aren't that. I think they're purposely good, and I've got some new products in development now where we may be using some.
I'm very excited about, and I'm totally
that's exciting.
Yeah.
But a neurotoxin, known neurotoxin, that's my problem with using Botox. So
yes. Okay. So let's talk about toxic ingredients. I mean, you've got some slides here I want you to go to because I think this is a huge area that women are just very not educated in. So let's just go for it and educate people on what this is.
And while I'm pulling that up, I'll just talk for a second. I'll do this share screen, is why I started formulating this skincare line. It wasn't something I formulate for the nutrition industry. I do a lot of formulation, a lot of studies, a lot of research, but finally I was looking for myself. What's not toxic, and I tried a bunch of products and they weren't efficacious. They just didn't seem to work well. So my first step is looking at who's protecting us, who do we trust. We'll go quickly through these, but just because something says FDA approved doesn't mean that we can guarantee that it is non-toxic. And by the way, most skincare and skincare products are not approved, they are registered. There's a difference between registered and approved. So the Environmental Working Group has given us many, many quotes in the recent past of that we've got direct conflict of interest sitting on the FDA, a lot of people that are trying to study these ingredients. So here's the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. It wasn't created until the 70s. By that time, 62,000 substances were already in use, and they were grandfathered in. That means we haven't even studied them. And 99% of those chemicals by volume were grandfathered in. Not a great way of saying that we think we're safe. So here are some. We've got 82,000 industrial substances that are registered. And we know, and again, I won't get too much into this, but the EPA has not attempted to ban a toxic chemical since 1989. Sorry, that went away fast. And only 11% of the new ones are being tested. So when we go and we say that, listen, adipose tissue, that's a fat tissue, and us, and the common in most people in this study, U.S. residents, had 700 chemical contaminants that haven't been identified. That's not the ones we know that shouldn't be that are toxic. These are the ones that aren't even identified. And the EPA gets a request of 5 to 7 new ones per day. And so how many? I mean, we inhale it, we eat it, we inject it, we apply it to our skin, and we know that we've got a real problem. So one thing I want to bring up is washing it away. One of the biggest things that we've got in some of these non-toxic hand sanitizers, we've got hormone disrupting chemicals, triclosan and triclocarbon. They're antibacterial cleansers, and there's no evidence to show that they're better than soap and water. So therefore, you can definitely be using a non-toxic soap or ingredient and not worry that you're leaving too much bacteria. In fact, what happens is that you're washing away the really the bacteria that aren't that bad for us, and you're leaving more surface area for the bad guys to grow. So antibacterial soaps, bad guys. We don't want to use them. Those disinfecting wipes, even the AMA is saying, we don't have studies to support that to make us healthier. So now here we go. Personal care products, that's what we're talking about. 23,000 ingredients were analyzed. 22,500 contained one or more ingredient that had not been assessed for safety. 1,300 said there's insufficient data to determine whether they're even safe or not. So we really don't know. I'm going to the next slide here. We've got some national toxicity programs. We've got things starting to try to look. But the point is, we don't have anybody that's really watching over us the way that they should or could or can. And what are all the things that can go wrong? Your immune system, mitochondrial dysfunction, which we know now is linked to cancer, altered gut microbiome, your methylation, which is all your kind of systems that are either going to work well or not, your iron homeostasis, and this epigenome and transgenerational epigenetics. Let me stop this share, and I want to tell you about something, because this is very interesting, is that we're seeing now by a new study that something your grandmother did is affecting your genes today. So we know these environmental toxicities, we know are affecting at least 2 generations past us, and it's probably farther than that. So what you choose to put on your face and on your hair and your makeups now is affecting your grandchildren. So that's why it's not just, is this bad for us? What about the other generations?
You know, and part of me gets really, really angry that I think we've, you know, as in the country, we're sort of like, oh, but you know, the FDA, or well, you know, it says it's okay. It's not okay. And I think what we're learning is, okay, the audience is mainly women, but what we're learning is we are responsible for everything. We are responsible to research ingredients, to figure it out, to take responsibility that this is affecting everybody. It's not, I want to look younger today, so I'm going to, you know, poke my face. It's, let's really take this seriously with ingredients, right?
Baby powder is a great example. Now, I mean, the jury's kind of still out, but awards, multi-million-dollar awards by Johnson & Johnson have been given to women with ovarian cancer. There is a link there. Enough of a link. They're losing it with baby powder.
Oh,
baby powder with ovarian cancer. So things we think are benign that we may have used a long time, and since babies are really coming into question. So what we can do is learn how to read those labels. What we can do is know the things that are known to be bad for us, and ask for analysis on products that we are using to make sure that testing is being done, so that what they're telling us is the truth about what's in that product, and we do our best. And it's something, what I tell patients, is something you're going to put in your body, take a supplement, or put on your body on a daily basis. It's up to you, and you really need to analyze that and make sure it's safe and effective, and that it's you've done your diligence, and not just hope somebody else did it for you. You're right, no one is.
So just so the audience knows, in our next interview, Denise and I are going to talk again, and we're really going to go into ingredients. In this one, we're not really going to go into ingredients. We're talking more on an overview, but so do watch the second half of this, and I'll post next week. But so let's go back to this. I mean, yeah, I mean, all of this is kind of mind-boggling. It's very mind-boggling. Yeah. You deal with people every day who have like really serious illnesses, and because you know medicine and naturopath, I mean, what are you seeing when people start to change what they're putting on their body? What are you kind of witnessing here?
You know, symptoms are all over the place. And so when we clean up a body, it's just not internally what they're putting in and teaching them that, but also what they're putting on top. So it could be from a grand mal seizure to some skin issue. First of all, skin is reflective of what's going on inside the gastrointestinal tract. When we're in embryo, we flip wrong side out. It's kind of the same cells. So if this is upset, so is the GI. So we as naturopaths always, if somebody comes in with any kind of skin issue, psoriasis, rosacea, acne, it doesn't matter. We start looking at their gut. We fix the gut and the skin starts reflecting better, right? But then we say, now what are you going to put on a daily basis? And what do we have that might build collagen and elastin so that we're not dragging so much, we're not wrinkling so much? And what does that particular patient, what's their goal? And what are they willing to do? So it's really is individualized. There's not a one size fits all. And it's skincare either, as you are well aware.
Well, I'm well aware. And also I think we've been kind of brainwashed into this idea that, you know, if I just get this right serum, then everything's gonna I'm gonna look younger and I can still eat my Cheetos. And you know, I think the reality is healthcare and beauty, anti-aging, all these subjects that everybody is so, you know, we get excited about as we get older because we're like, oh my God, things are starting to.
What's happening? Yeah, what's happening?
What's happening?
And
Yeah.
it's healthy aging. There is no such thing as anti-aging. Right? We've gotten some things that we know nutraceutically and even topically that that might help decrease the speed of the telomeres breaking down. So there are some things that we know of now that can help us with longevity. In fact, a researcher at Cambridge says the person who's going to live to 1,000 is alive today. And then I say, okay, that's great, but how are they going to feel? And more importantly, how are we going to look? Can you imagine at 1,000? And we better get pretty darn good at this skincare or we're not going to be looking very good. So, you know, it is individualized. You have to look at the person's skin, you have to analyze, you have to know, but there are certain basics, and that is eating healthy, your emotional wellness. We know that it reflects immediately if we're unhappy. We see it in the skin, and that's because the GI gets upset. So you have to work on all of it if we want healthy aging and to look our best.
Well, exactly. And, you know, because you do medical as well as naturopath and you can talk about all of this in such a fluent way. I mean, what is kind of your take on, you know, I mean, I think I'm being super general here, so it's not, you know, you probably say, yeah, that's too general, but I'm thinking, you know, sometimes we do have to take medicines, right? Like the chemical compounds.
Yeah.
I know sometimes that is necessary, but on the whole, do you notice people, you can pretty much move people into a naturopathic place where they're just doing natural stuff and be completely healthy? I mean, is this, what are we talking here with this?
So most of the time, if somebody comes in and they're on meds, I want to know why, because I want to know what's causing that symptom. Why do they have that problem? Let's fix that. Now they don't need a medicine or a nutraceutical. They don't need to be taking a lot of things. If we find the root of the problem, we fix that, okay? So that's the first step. Second is if there is a medicine that they really do need to take, at least for a short period of time or a period of time, the problem with those is they strip certain nutrients. And we know what those are for the most part. Now we can put back in the nutrients that are being stripped because of that medicine. Now we're not seeing it in our skin, and we're not seeing it, you know, affect our bodies as negatively as it is. Traditional medicine, you know, put on my allopathic hat, prescribe a medicine, you just say, let me know if you have a side effect. You're not looking into the depth of what's it depleting in the body that's affecting all these other things. But when you really diagnose and really look at, you want to look at that individual and say, what are they lacking? What do they need? And what do they not need? So I say health is pretty easy in a technical, difficult way. Health is easy. Take out what it doesn't need and put in what it does. And that includes emotion, spiritual, physical, eating healthy, skincare, all of it. Put in what it needs, take out what it doesn't, and it's going to age healthily. Is that a new word?
Healthily. Yeah, and I just want to touch on this as we kind of move forward here. We've been going for about 25 minutes, but you know, I notice as I get older, because I think this is a subject a lot of women are interested in, and I get this question a lot, is I start getting age spots, I've gotten, you know, melasma, I've got like stuff is happening now. How much of this is just, it's going to happen? And how much of this is, you know, that's actually stems from your hormonal imbalance? Or like, what can you tell women about these things?
Yeah, it is hormonal. It is environmental. We know these environmental toxins are affecting our skin as well, and environmental toxins affect our hormones. So yes, when we balance our hormones, things are better. When estrogen drops, so does our skin. So it doesn't mean that we have to take estrogen. It just means that we need to be more in balance, progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, as we age. And maybe if there's something blocking those estrogens, maybe we do need to be on a little tiny bit of a hormone if it's appropriate for that patient. Looking at the risk factors and making sure they understand it. So hormones does play a piece, but I will tell you more than hormones, because we've played with that for years. It really is a lot of it mindset, Suzanne, of being okay and noticing some skin changes. Now, if there's a dark spot, hydroquinone is a known carcinogen. Known. Don't do it. We've got other natural things that I know in the next show we'll talk about that can lighten those dark spots, that can help the elastin come back and strengthen it, that can build collagen. We have natural things to do that. So we can get people better, far better. And, but you have to work on all of it, Suzanne. It's not just I wish we could put on the cream and we all look 20 again, right? But we can definitely fight this darn thing, because when I turned 50, I started really looking for what is there. I was already doing it on everybody else and getting great effects. And I thought, okay, wait a minute. It's happening to me now. What do I need to do? So over the past 10 years, I've really, really dug in and been studying the types of injections, the types of therapies, the types of lasers and things that I utilize. And it's not hot lasers with ablation therapy, it's cold lasers. It's about stimulating collagen. What can we do to stimulate your body to make its own repair and slow down this aging process?
So this is like a whole subject, and I would love to, I think we're going to do a whole other show on lasers and on everything you just said, because women ask me this stuff all the time, and I honestly really don't know. I mean, I haven't experimented that much. I'm really nervous to try a lot of things because I'm so, trying so hard to keep my body clean. I've had, trying to keep the toxins out, but there's such great information with this stuff.
And we can do another show on that. Just remember, anything that creates heat or damages, it's damaging the proteins and the DNA, a protein denaturation. In the long run, it may cause more wrinkles, more problems in the long run. So I'm not a big fan of hot ablative lasers. Now, if somebody has acne scarring, again, quality of life, will make a judgment call. But otherwise, I'm not a fan for a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about it.
Good. We're definitely going to talk about that, because the cold side of it, I've heard of people doing the cold treatments also for weight loss, for different pockets of fat.
That's different. That's cryotherapy, and you're still destroying a fat cell, but we'll talk about that. I'm talking about cold lasers. They're red light lasers, not LEDs, real lasers. That stimulates collagen. They're used in burn and in wound healing. That's where they're in medical space. I'm saying, why not in aesthetic space? That builds your own, helps your body stimulate its own collagen with no negative side effects. So there's things we can.
Great. That's what we want. We want no negative side effects, no toxins.
That's right. And it does exist. It does exist, and it works well. You're not going to walk out with the Botox face or lips this big, but it will be a slow and steady, where most people start saying, wow, you look really well rested. Wow, you look great. Did Suzanne do your makeup? They're not quite sure what it is, but they're like, wow, instead of, oh, what procedure did you just have done? Right. They just know you look better, and it's slow and progressive, and that's the beauty of it.
Great. Well, that's what we're all about. And that's what I'm all about. I really want women to look great and feel great and not die of injection toxic poisoning as well. Which is why, back to kind of the whole reason for the conversation is your new skincare line, which I love and I carry on my site, called Dr. Zen Skin. Here's one of the products. I'm holding it up. So I'll provide a link at the bottom of in the drop down there on YouTube. So all of you can go straight to my website and have a look. There's little write-ups on it. If you want to meet Dr. Worden, go to I just forgot the name of it.
That's okay. It's drworden.com. So
drworden.com. I'm sorry, it's on my thing, way down there.
It's good.
drworden.com for more information on her fabulous stuff that she carries, and also her information just on your website. I think your website is fabulous, by the way. So thanks. Getting there. But thank you so much for joining me today to talk about this subject, Dr. Worden.
Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate it.
And thank you, ladies, for joining me. Please stay tuned for my next installment of my interviews with Dr. Worden on healthcare and natural beauty and her skincare line, Dr. Zen. Thank you for watching.